Years have gone by, Xbox done fried every now it's just bad. Could have changed the game, giving PlayStation a bit of blame. Push them to be better, lived up to the letter. Showed them X marks the spot, but just like we thought, Xbox wasted years, brought us all to tears. Prices shooting high, brings a tear to my eye. Games just get delayed, man, they could have had it made. But now it's on Asher, Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI. Everything became an Xbox thanks to Sarah and Phil. Audience hated it, they'd had their fill. Starfield was boring, Call of Duty still blows. Fable looks great, but will we get it? Who knows? But now it's on Asher, Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI. Asher, we've been waiting for oh so long, for someone to come and sing a different song. We're tired and sad, but you can give us hope. Prove to us and that it's not just cope. But now it's on Asher, Asher, oh Asher. Xbox needs your help. Years of mismanagement, old leaders face banishment. Now Asher can rescue it, change it, snap it, fix it. Asher, oh Asher, you're our only hope. We pray that this is real and not just cope. Please save the brand and look us in the eye. Say you're a real person, not just another AI.
I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her.
But he ain't gonna. He ain't gonna. Bro won't listen. Won't listen to good common sense. Tell you what. Won't listen. I think he likes to be miserable because everyone's telling him. Doesn't listen. How's everybody doing? Everybody feeling good? Feeling alive? Hopefully you had a good weekend. Hopefully. I tightened it too much. Hopefully you are. I know I'm rocking and rolling. What does she have on Johnny? That's a fantastic question. I mean, yes, he did go to an island that he can't talk about, but he's a pirate. Pirates do that. I don't think it was like that island. Probably. Johnny. Oh my God. That's the plot twist. That's the plot twist right there. We just figured it out. How's everybody doing? Melissa, I saw you finished your marathon. Congratulations. That's fantastic. Baller. You're better than all of us. We're just sitting here. We're just sitting here talking about games and you're out running marathons. That's crazy. Hello everybody. Hello. Katie Cat says, I just finished the story to Expedition 33 and wow, what a game. Video essay when, Luke? Well, I talked about Expedition 33 a bunch back when it first dropped. It's funny because Expedition 33 is one of those games, like looking back, of course, it's a masterpiece. It's great. But in the lead up to it, it was not, on paper, it should not have blown up the way that it did. I mean, it's a small team. It is a game that was put on Game Pass, which typically they struggle to like really explode compared to like big marketing machine backed games. And it was launched, wasn't it launched like right next to the Oblivion remake or remaster? It launched like right next to another Xbox Game Pass game that like could have buried it. And it's made by French people. Exactly. One of my favorite comments I saw about Expedition 33. Like, I love Expedition 33. It's really good. I'm kind of annoyed that they act like French people are real. You know, that's the problem I have with it. You know? I can't get past that part, you know? It's propaganda making me think French people are real. But anyway, it's, yeah, French people are real. That's what they want you to think. That's what Big Baguette wants you to think. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. It's all fake news. Tell you what. Olive and Trees, thank you for the $5 super chat, by the way. I love Crimson Desert, but I think it's cringe when people compare it to Elder Scrolls 6. They're completely different. I don't want Elder Scrolls 6 to be like Crimson Desert. I will say the reason why, like, I know when we've talked about the two, I could try to bring them up specifically technologically speaking. So when we talk about like Crimson Desert compared to Elder Scrolls 6, it's on like surface level fantasy games with like predominantly melee combat systems and open world adventuring, stuff like that. Obviously they're different formats of games, but when we compare them, we're comparing them like technologically speaking, the seamless exploration, the scale and scope that Crimson Desert brings. I think that's what a lot of people will point back to when they get Elder Scrolls 6. If the quality of the other things are not raised significantly, because like if the writing in Elder Scrolls 6 is rough and like there's a bunch of other weak points and it also can't compete in terms of scale and scope and open world adventuring, like that's when it really will start to get curb stomped. But you know, we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We still don't technically know what it looks like. CKF, thank you for the super chat. Hey Luke, do you think Clockwork Revolution releases on PlayStation? I'm genuinely not sure anymore. Genuinely, I'm not sure, because it does seem like Asha is having a lot of conversations with people. She is seriously evaluating options and is trying to break things down on like base constituent levels to figure out what works and what doesn't. Like, I don't think she's taking anything for granted anymore. which is nice. I think that's good because there were things that were kind of assumptions for the last 5 or 6 years that I don't think hold true anymore. Like I think that some of the approaches that might have worked in 2020 don't work in 2026. And the problem for Xbox and PlayStation is that they've had trouble pivoting away from those directions. Like PlayStation's over focus on live service. That made sense probably in 2018, 2019 when they started the process of that. Nowadays, I don't think it works. Like back then, if you put $200 million into a live service game, chances were decently high it would be successful because nobody else was really doing it. Now competition's so fierce, it's like a 1 or 2% chance, it seems, that a massive big budget live service game turns a profit. So it doesn't work anymore. And so they need to pivot away from that. And they've struggled to do that quickly. And there's even conflicting messaging where they're like doubling down on fair games. They're doubling down on Horizon Hunters Gathering and some of these other projects. And with Xbox, you know, they doubled down on this every game everywhere idea, which is not an inherently bad idea. But then they acted surprised when the brand itself started to get devalued. It's like, yeah, when everything's an Xbox, nothing is. It removes everything special about it, you know? Syndrome in The Incredibles was right. When everyone's super, no one will be. Same principle with gaming consoles. Syndrome was way ahead of his time. Tell you what. So as for going back to the question, I know you're like, what the hell are you talking about, Luke? You're quoting The Incredibles, and I asked about Clockwork Revolution. Going back to that, I don't know when or if it will launch on PlayStation, because I don't think the odds are super high that Xbox goes back to like exclusivity. I'd say it's, you know, maybe like a 10-15% chance, but there is a chance that Asha decides to pivot and like go lean fully into exclusivity again, to try and build the brand back. I don't think the odds are super high, but I think there is a chance. Let's see. Jimothy, thank you for the 23 months, almost 2 years, baby. Thanks for the mouse PI recommendation. So peak when you don't have IGN in your ear telling you it's mid. Dude, I am so glad that that blew up in their face the way that it did. Because like people will rage against YouTubers or streamers for talking bad about a game that they hate or something, and they'll point to it and be like, you know, you need to be more positive. They did this with High Guard. They're like, you're being too harsh on it because you're going to potentially harm that game's chances of success and people's jobs are on the line. But then IGN will come out with a slop-filled dumpster fire like a monstrosity like that Mouse PI for Hire review. Or in my opinion, also the Crimson Desert review. And that's totally fine. Even though they have a much, much larger platform than any single YouTuber does, you know? There's not a lot of YouTubers out there with 20 million subs. There's not a lot of YouTubers out there funded by, to the tune of hundreds of millions, which is IGN's like, they've had that much money flow through their coffers in the last decade, no doubt. So it's just wild. Anyway, yeah, it's a little bit of a hypocrisy, I think. Little bit. So it was good because we did that segment on stream on Friday, and then our stream clip didn't go up until yesterday, but Charlie, Moist Critical, actually did his own video before our stream clip even went up. So we had talked about it on stream, and then I saw that he was also covering it. Like, might be the worst review I've ever seen, and he just tears it apart for like, again, it's a game about a mouse detective, and the reviewer's upset there's so many cheese puns and stuff. It's like, bro, stop. Like, what is wrong with you? It's like, it really does come off as like they were desperate to find problems with it, and they were searching for anything to poke holes in. But like I said, when you're desperate to poke holes in stuff, sometimes you end up poking holes in stuff that didn't have holes in it. You're just trying to make holes. And that's kind of what they did. They acted as a hammer in search of a nail, you know? Now it's literally a meme. Yeah, it's 7 out of 10, too much cheese. 6 out of 10, too much cheese is what they gave it. Yeah, maybe IGN is lactose intolerant. Seems like it. Pretty bigoted. Yeah, the fact that we are in a spot where we can't tell if it's intentional rage bait or if they're being serious, I think is a huge problem for IGN. Like, they should wake up and realize nobody's taking them seriously and actively rejects their opinions on stuff. That should be like a major wake-up call to them. But it seems like this has been a discussion for 3 or 4 years now, really probably longer than that. And they're just totally unconcerned, and it's getting worse and more frequent when they screw up like this. It's just insane. It's for the views or clicks. Yeah, but I mean, their review did, I don't know what their website data looks like. So maybe they got some money from that. But like their YouTube video, it's not like that went viral. It's not like that blew up. Charlie's video went viral. I mean, to be fair, every video he does basically goes viral. But Charlie's video did 2.5 million, calling them out. I think that's worse for them, I would think. But maybe they just genuinely don't care. I don't know. But yeah, it's dumb. It's dumb. I'm glad people are playing it though. I'm Old Eric. Thank you for the membership, by the way. Real serious thing for 11 months. Oh, we're almost to a year. I think it's fine and necessary for IGN to deliver critical reviews now and then. The problem is dumb reasoning, not with personal preference. Yeah, well, to be clear, everybody's allowed to disagree with each other on games. That's expected. There's games that you guys will love that I will hate, and vice versa. Games I love that you hate. That's fine. That's normal. It's called having taste and preference. It's fine. The point of a review, though, is that often your goal in a review is to justify your position. It's like writing an essay in high school or college. You write a thesis statement, which in this case, their thesis statement was Mouse PI for Hire is bad or mediocre, whatever the tagline is for a 6 out of 10 for them. And then they have to justify it. And the people's point in bringing all of this up is not like, well, we agree to disagree. It's like, your reason for disagreeing with me is stupid. Like, you're upset that this isn't written like The Godfather. And it's a game where you play as a mouse private detective. And you're upset about cheese puns. Like, it's a stupid reason to be upset. You just were never going to like it, okay? And that's why you get to say what you think. And if it's dumb, we get to laugh at you. That's how it works. You guys say, Luke, oh, you're hopeful for Assassin's Creed in 2026. Cringe. Luke's being cringe. He's hopeful for Assassin's Creed Redemption, whatever. That's how it works on the internet. If I say something stupid, you get to make fun of me. And I usually do. So that's how it works. I should play this mouse game. Dude, it's fun. It's like, it's stupid, but that's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's just stupid fun. That's why, like, it makes you chuckle. It's like, haha, this is so insane. Like, there were quotes in there where they quoted Goodfellas. I heard a quote from Goodfellas. And there was, I heard a a Tiger King quote in there. I'm never going to financially recover from this. It's so good. It's so good. Anyway, it's just crazy, but I'm glad people are calling it out. C Sarcastico, thank you for the 100 bits. Hello, handsome. I hope you're having a wonderful day and a great start to the week. I am. So I've told you guys a little bit. I'll keep this brief. I told you guys a little bit. I've been struggling with like sciatic nerve problems. It's basically the nerve that comes out of your lower back and stretches down your leg. I've been having problems with that where it gets pinched. And it's like literally, basically crippling. You can't walk when it seizes up like that. Friday night, it was so bad I couldn't walk.
Donated $20 through Super Chat. I know it's unlikely, but what are the odds the Black Flag remake has a co-op game mode? Like outside of the story, you can do missions with your friends and just sailing with your friends. Very unlikely, but it would cool to see.
It would be. I thank you for the 20. That's super generous. What I would say, Ubisoft has a great offering for you. It's called Skull and Bones. You want to play a pirate game with your friends? You can play that. I think that's what they would probably say. Or not. Maybe they do have that. Or maybe they just tell you to go play Skull and Bones. I don't know. Windrose is a good alternative. Windrose, though, is like basically a survival game, so it's a bit different. It plays very differently than Black Flag does, which isn't necessarily a problem. It's just a different kind of game, you know. But as for what's that voice? That's my marketing person voice. That's my marketing person voice. Somebody who works in marketing, where you offer like a valid counter and it's like, well, let me just tell you, I've got another fantastic product for you to check out. Anyway, but yeah, my sciatic nerve issue flared up on Friday. I couldn't walk. Like I was basically bedbound. It was bad. Like I would try to walk, and the best way I can describe it is it felt like somebody had taken a screwdriver and was jamming it between my vertebrae right above like my hips. Like horror. I've never experienced something like that. Horribly painful. So that flared up. I like barely slept Friday night, but then Saturday was a little better, Sunday a bit better. This morning I went to physical therapy, and they were able to do dry needling and stuff. So it's getting better. It's just, in order to fix these types of problems, you have to strengthen muscles, and those muscles, when they get sore or tightened, pinch the nerve. So in order to get better, you have to put yourself in really bad pain for weeks on end. But it's really the only solution. There's the only other thing people will do is that they'll just be like, I don't want to do that. Sorry, my kids are jumping up and down, it sounds like. The only other option is to basically stop all physical activity because it hurts, and then just hope that it gets better one day, which is what a lot of people do. But then they wake up at 40, 50 years old and they can't walk, you know, because they never dealt with the problem. And then it's way harder to fix. So I'm trying to get on it. We're doing what we need to do, but it's a nightmare, man. It's a nightmare. Mine do that. Mine spasm into the wall sometimes. Yeah, I mean, it's bad. I feel for... thankfully, mine comes in waves. Like it's usually once a week. It'll be really bad, and then it gets better. But yeah, it's been a nightmare. It's been a nightmare. Thank you, Dollar. Thank you, very generous. 5 subs gifted over on Twitch. Thank you. Green Supreme Stream. What a name. Thank you. My grandma is dealing with the same issue. She can barely walk right now. Yeah, it's literally crippling because your nerve, which sends all signals to everywhere, is getting pinched. So everything downstream of it is just excruciatingly painful. So like I'll just be standing sometimes, and then like my toes start to go numb on my right foot, which is, I've been told, not supposed to happen. It's not by design. That's bad. You don't want that. So it's I encourage anybody who's had problems like that to go try to deal with it. Like go to a physical therapy, go whatever you want to do, but go try to get it sorted, because if you don't sort it, it gets way worse later in life. And like Melissa went on that marathon run. One of my goals, like bucket list goals, is to run a marathon. And I a year and a half ago, I couldn't run a mile without like an asthma attack. I had to have an inhaler and everything. It was bad. For all of 2025, I worked at it so hard that I can like casually do a 5K now, and I don't need an inhaler anymore. It's like fantastic, major progress. But in the last handful of months, I started having this problem flare up, and it's made it so I can't do even, you know, like I can run basically a mile and a half, and then it acts up, and then it freaks out. So I'm trying to get this sorted so I can get back on the horse and train on it. One of my trainers is a ultra marathon runner. Like he does those 100-mile runs, which is insane. It's insane. But I'm like, so he can do that, so he can help me get there. I just have to work on it. So that's my goal. Maybe one day I'll be able to do a stream running, you know, a full marathon, 26 miles or whatever. That's my ultimate goal, the dream, but gotta get there. Damn, you ain't even 30s. Yeah, dude, it's just, it's something. I've had these problems flare up occasionally, but when you're in your like early to mid 20s, your body just kind of brute forces its way through it, and it's like, it's whatever. But once you start to get close to 30, it's like you got to start taking care of yourself. Destin says, my goal is to be less fat. It's not going well. Sorry, maybe that's insensitive to laugh. That's fine. That was funny. That was kind of funny. Beefed up back muscles. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is like to build up these muscles so that doesn't happen. You will do things like deadlifts or squats. You'll do like I do a lot of hip focused exercises, so it's a lot of like concentrated movements on the glutes and hamstrings. So you'll do a lot of stuff like that, but that flares up those muscles, and when they flare up, they put pressure on the nerve because they're flaring up. And so it pinches, and then you're crippled for a week, not a week. It's like a day or two. It's really bad. And so you just have to, it's a process. That's what my PT keeps telling me. It's like, it's a process. This is not something that goes away in a week. It's not like we pop your back and all of a sudden you're fine. This is like years of this muscle getting strong, like way stronger than the other side's version of that muscle. And so now it's twisting your hips and it's causing this problem. And you don't want that. So you just got to get on it. Yeah. I'm a gamer and a gym rat. Yeah. Well, that's a good thing to do as long as your form's good, of course. But yeah, I'm working on it. Let's see. My wife has the same issue. She gets injections done to her lower back to help numb the nerve. Lasts between 3 and 6 months at a time for her though. Yeah, well, my PT was asking when I did my first appointment with him and was like, have you done any injections? Have you done anything like that? Any surgeries? Because of course he needs to know before we start doing stuff. And I was like, no, I haven't. He said, good, because that's definitely something we can do, but it's not only a hassle, but also if we can fix it without doing something like that, we would like to do that. If we can just fix it by setting it up with a stretching and exercise routine that counterbalances and re-strengthens stuff, we'd like to be able to do that. So we're working on it, Jean-Claude says, I turned my health around at 30. Most of what you've lost hasn't been structurally damaged beyond rehabilitation, just fitness and flexibility. Exactly. Well, and it's a common problem for people like me who sit at a desk and work at a desk, especially at home. Like if I'm not actively going out to the gym and putting some miles on the treadmill or something, I just won't physically move that much compared to somebody who's got a longer commute, has to walk a bit to work or walk to the train station, hop on and then head to work. I just don't have that much physicality in my life. So I have to try to counterbalance it. That's what I'm trying to do. Having a dog has helped because Romeo, he's a force of nature. He likes to go play and run and go crazy. He's doing good. Limits Breaker, thank you for the upgrade to the show off tier. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. Thank you. Let me catch up on these. Hold on, where did I go? Oh, you guys sent a lot. Now I'm behind. It's a good problem to have, don't get me wrong. It's a good problem to have. Let's see. Green Supreme Stream, thanks for being one of the most level-headed gamer viewers. No hype, no rage bait, just logic, vibes, and a healthy dose of skepticism. I'm glad, my friend. Thank you for being here. And I try, and there's times where I can probably be too critical. Like I said with the mouse PI for hire thing, I've had times where I look back on a review or something and I'm like, I think I was trying to find things to discuss and like poke holes in. I'm not sure if I would do that review the same way. But as I've always said, if you make a video and 6 months goes by and you don't look at it cringing a bit, you're not making progress. Like if you're a content creator, you should always be looking back at your old stuff and be like, I wish I had done that differently. It's just how it works. It's just how it works. Let's see. Okay, I read that one. Thank you again, Wonky, for the very generous 20. Not locked. Thank you for the 5. I'm trying so hard to like Crimson Desert. I'm 20 hours in. I want to like it so bad, but it hasn't clicked yet. Hopefully I can see what everyone else sees in it. I'm 20 hours is a good amount of time. And I think for me, the moment where it really started to click for me was when I went off and just started exploring and kind of doing an unguided thing. I just went out looking for stuff to do. That's when it really like popped off for me. That kind of self-guided discovery. Easiest way to do it, get to a high point in land, a hilltop or mountaintop or something, do the L1R1 sword gleaming thing, and it will cause little lights to shine for points of interest, like fast travel points or whatever. And you just pick one you want to go to and head that way. And you just repeat that process and you'll find yourself just exploring, getting distracted with all sorts of stuff. That's how when it really clicked for me. Excuse me. Fortune, thank you for that super chat. Can a developer opt out of IGN for coverage? Will IGN not shit on the studio if you opt out not to do anything with them? If yes, feels like extortion. People feel like there is a correlation between games that don't work directly with IGN and critical coverage from IGN. Like Black Myth Wukong. didn't work with IGN much. I think they did still work with them somewhat, but then IGN posted these like hit pieces on the studio, and things like that, and it was bizarre. Similarly, where like IGN and Eurogamer had pieces raging against Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at times, but like even then, I think those games still had trailers released with IGN and stuff. So I don't know if there's any clear correlation between those two. If somebody has data to demonstrate that, I'd be fascinated to see it. But I think more than likely what it is that, like I said before, I think the editorial staff is just checked out. Like there are many examples of things IGN put out that they should not have, that would not fly even on like a small YouTuber's channel. I think they would look at it and be like, this is not acceptable. Like the quality of that Arc Raiders preview. If Jacob sent me that as a draft, I would be like, are you insane? No, we're not posting this. And I'm a one guy. That's IGN with like dozens, if you count all of their branches, maybe even hundreds of employees across the globe. Like it's a big operation, and their standards are markedly lower than even like a small YouTuber by comparison. So I just think, you know, the example or the explanation often for IGN is it's just they don't care that much to really try, which is why it's so rich when they then complain about like YouTubers and streamers who are being critical of like High Guard, and they're like, give it a chance. You being mean about this game could harm its performance and put people out of work if it fails. But then they'll post something like this and then act like they should be immune from any blowback. It's like, no, you're getting a taste of your own medicine, you know? Yeah, you should upgrade to IGN quality. Set the stream to 1080p 50 and extra compression. Yeah, like with a 500 kilobyte per second bit rate. Do it that way. Full IGN quality. I thought about for April Fools, we were gonna do a prank video, joke video, whatever, where it was gonna be a review of something. I don't know what it would have been. We didn't get very far with the idea, but I was going to do a review on some game, you know, that people have been asking me, like Nier Automata or something. And I was going to do this review, but it's in IGN style or IGN quality. And it was just going to be so compressed that you couldn't see a damn thing. And like all of the audio is glitching and robotic. And I was going to lean into it, but then I was like, some people might not get the joke. And then it just seems like a really bad video. So it was just an idea, but maybe next year we'll do something like that. I think it would have been funny. Yeah, just goes black for like 15 minutes. Anyway, next year. Let's see. Slim Hardaway, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Where can I find that Asha AI intro song? It is, as with most of our AI slop, it is, let me see if I can just share it. Share, copy link. Here, I'll just put it in chat. I'll put it in chat. If you'll want it, you can see it. There you go. It's in chat, in YouTube chat. If you want it in Twitch chat, let me know. I can put it there too. I stopped reading Eurogamer because they seemed compromised. For me, it was just when I read the Eurogamer piece on Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I was like, guys, what are we actually doing? Like, when you start to say that you're going to review a game and then the score of the game is going to be affected based on the political opinions of some of the developers, I'm like, guys, I think we're being silly. Like, if I'm playing a game, like, review the game. You can have a separate op-ed or something on the politics of the creators. That's fine. I have no problem with you writing like an op-ed on J.K. Rowling and her opinions as it pertains to Harry Potter. That's fine. But if you're reviewing Hogwarts Legacy, I don't see how that has anything to do with the quality of the gameplay loop and the systems. I just, as a matter of like philosophical principle, whatever you want to call it, I just don't think that has a place in a review. But Eurogamer is going off like that, you know? And so at that point, I just can't take it seriously. Let's see. RPG Veteran, thank you for that one. Hi, Lukey Soft. I am crying after Black Flag resynced. Well, wait till you see it. You might be crying tears of joy or sadness. Who knows? Yes, if you missed it, they did officially announce gaming's worst kept secret. They actually own the meme, which I did think was funny. Gaming's worst kept secret. Black Flag resynced worldwide reveal showcase April 23rd, so Thursday at 6 p.m. CEST. I believe that ends up being like 9 or 10 a.m. Pacific in the States. So they did officially reveal it, and if you go there, you can see it's up on YouTube. You can actually see it. So it's happening. Almost there. Will I be doing a co-stream of it? That's a fantastic question. I may or may not be on an airplane when that is happening, but I will be able to talk about things at that point, as will everybody. So you better believe I'll be in the sky watching the reveal. I just won't be able to stream because I did try. Some airplanes have Starlink, and you can actually like straight up stream from the airplane when they have the Starlink. The problem is you don't know if your airplane has Starlink until excuse me, until you get on the plane. So if I can stream from 30,000 feet up, I will totally co-stream it, and I think that would be really funny and kind of fun. But I don't know if I'll be able to do that. So, oh, here he is, Mr. Been on a plane. Yeah. You can just go get a Starlink. Dude, I like my Starlink. I really like my Starlink. I got one of the minis, and that's how I downloaded KCD2 from when I was in the Bahamas on vacation. I realized whenever I talk about this stuff, I end up sounding like such a snotty hoity-toity. When I was in the Bahamas, I used my satellite dish to download a video game I got early from the satellite in the sky. You're like, shut up, Luke. I get it, okay? I hate me too. I'm part of the problem. I get it. Humble brag? No, it's not even a humble brag. It's just, I think it's just bragging at that point. I think I'm just being a bitch. Let's see. How's the private jet been? Oh, I wish I was on Linus's level, but no. I don't think I would ever be able to pay millions for a jet. Because like a private plane only makes sense if you are flying a crap ton. Like if you are flying once a week, then it makes sense. I get that. Like, I don't know if you guys saw it, but Rory, who just won the Masters, Royal McIlroy, Rory, he was, apparently he lives in Florida, and he was training at the course at Augusta. But he would drive his daughter to school, hop on his private jet, fly to Augusta in Georgia from
Tony
Florida,
Raskin,
play 18 holes, and then fly home and pick her up from school.
$19.99 through Super Chat. I'm not gonna lie to you, Luke. We don't hate you, and I love your humble breaks. You worked hard. You've earned it, and with great power comes great responsibility. You have
a platform that cares about the opinions of gamers. Thank you, my friend. That's very, very sweet of you, Tony, and I appreciate you. And I try to, it's no mystery. I am in a very privileged spot, and I'm very, very lucky to do what I do and to get the opportunities that I get. And it's never lost on me. Never lost on me. I'm very, very thankful. And I also have an amazing team behind me. We are now up to 3 full-time editors and team members, call them producers maybe. We've got a fantastic team with Jacob, Landon, and Trevor, and they work their butts off and do amazing work. And because of our fantastic sponsors that we work with, I've been able to provide healthcare. We offer 401k matching. Like most YouTubers in my position, they still just do Fiverr contracting. They'll pay an editor $100 a video or something. We provide healthcare because I believe happy, healthy work is better work. So we're trying to do the most good with the opportunities we have. We're not trying to just take the money and run. So even if I were going from Florida to Georgia every day to play golf, I still don't think I'd be able to justify a private jet. We came full circle. There you go. Real serious. It's true. I'm a YouTube mod and I have a 401k. Yeah, we were able to do all of this stuff, and it's been really, really cool. Because, you know, I remember when I was working as a 1099 contractor, and like, you're just trying to survive and you can't afford it. I was like, there's got to be a better way. So I think people are often surprised that I don't make as much money as they might think I do based on the stats and the channel's performances and everything. But it's because I try to take care of the team at least as best as I can. I'd like to be able to pay everybody more, of course. It's just sometimes you got to work up to stuff, but you know, we're doing great. And of course, thank you to all of you guys for watching and making it possible. Let's see. Is 401k retirement stuff for us Europeans? No, it's a US program specifically. There are European versions of it that you could do that are technically possible. Transparently, all of my team members are in the US. I don't know exactly how it would work to hire somebody in Europe in the same capacity, because like our health insurance companies aren't over there. So it would have to be like all new programs and stuff. Probably what we would do is just start like a new, or we'd pay more and then you would go get your own health insurance or whatever it would need to happen, but we'll have to figure it out. I'll figure out how to scale like that someday, Luke, says Destin. Yeah, I'm sure you will. What I will say is that with a lot of this stuff, it's a bit of a leap of faith. Because there were, I think for the first 2.5 years we were doing this live channel, I was losing money on it every month because I would pay Jacob to clip it and to do all this stuff. It didn't make sense on paper for like 2.5 years. And then it broke even. Now it's profitable. Now it's doing really, really well. But it is one of those things that you have to pour a lot of money into to try to like build it up. There's no secret sauce to it. It's an investment, you know? But that's par for the course, you know. You gotta spend money to make money. If it was easy, everybody would do it, you know. That's how it works. Quick jump scare! The HBO version of Pragmatic leaked early. I saw this, bro. Instantly cursed. Instantly, my phone overheated and exploded. My computer downloaded a virus to end itself. Everything fell apart. The moment this happened, there was great wailing and gnashing of teeth. Bro, can you even imagine if this were real? Like, imagine they just come out on stage at the next State of Play. We're very, very happy to announce Capcom has a special announcement with us. Capcom's president comes out. We're very excited to announce that HBO will be doing a live action version of Pragmata. Here's the cast. Dude, I would explode. I'd watch the hell out of that if I'm being real. I'd watch the hell out of it. Probably not for the reason they expect, but because I think it'd be just so funny. It'd be so insane. I'm going to be a robot. So ready for it. So good. Anyway. So there you go. Jump scare. Got you. Haha. Haha, got you. Let's see, where did I leave off? Jayla Mahara, thank you for the 5. My wife has the same thing. Massages, chiro do wonders. Yeah, the whatever you got to do to fix it. It seems like everybody's a little bit different. Some people respond really well to massages. A friend of mine was telling me the other day he does acupuncture for his hip problem, and that worked wonders for him. Some people do all of it. I'm trying literally all of it. So like they do dry needling, which is sort of like a subset of acupuncture. But I'm doing that. Of course, PT. We've been doing, I go and get massages for it pretty regularly. Like I'm trying to do everything I can. It's just, you know, a process. No candles today. Maybe we'll see what we talk about. We might actually, I do think we'll have something where we can light a candle. I have to get my act together and actually get to the point. Let me catch up on these real quick. Sorry. I have bad insomnia. Thank you for the 2. Hopefully hopefully I do put you to sleep, because insomnia is when you can't sleep. I don't know. There's a joke there. I'll figure it out. As for Pragmata, thoughts on Pragmata, I'm really loving it. I will say, like, based on the demo I played back last summer, I was like really iffy on it. I am so glad that I was wrong about Pragmata, because I was like, I don't know how this converts to a full game. I just don't know how you take like the little mini game and expand it. But they actually had a lot more tricks up their sleeve than we saw in the demo, and then they told us about. And so, you know, I'm digging it. I haven't finished Pragmata. I put like a few hours into it, and I'm saving it for a flight that I may or may not be on Thursday. But yeah, I plan on finishing it soon. But yeah, I'm so glad that there's more to it than that. Because especially, you got to remember, I think the game was originally supposed to come out in like 2021 or 2022. Like, it's been in development hell. The fact that it came together is pretty remarkable. It doesn't tend to happen. So it's been nice to see. Let's see. Buttery Cheeks, thank you for the 5. Luke, I know Pragmata doesn't interest you much or too much, but I hope you give it a chance. It's amazing, loving it so far. Capcom is on fire. They are on fire. I mean, there's no denying Capcom has just been hitting it out of the park consistently. It's really impressive. You know, it's really, really impressive. People forget, but like a decade ago, it was not like Capcom was kind of struggling to put out really consistent bangers. Now it seems like every game they put out has just been like boom, boom, boom. Sorry. Boom, boom, boom. They just figured it out. Imagine if Onimusha does well, they'll go 3 for 3. Yeah, I mean, literally, dude. Literally. And I would expect Onimusha to be pretty good. I'd expect it to be pretty good, because it looked pretty good when I saw it. Joshua Rose, thank you for the 2. Are you excited for the Bloodborne movie? At this point, I think, as with a lot of people, I've been burned. So I will believe it when I see it. When like a trailer drops, I'll be like, okay, it's real. Until then, I'm not getting my hopes up. I'm still worried it's going to be some news that like funding fell through, they canceled it, whatever. Like, I'm trying not to be a Debbie Downer, but I don't want to get my hopes up if it falls apart, you know? So cautious. I'm cautiously optimistic with it, I think is how I would put it. What about the Elden Ring movie? They just started filming. Yeah, that one seems to actually be happening. I don't know how that gets turned into a movie, to be honest, because it's not really a narrative focused game. So I genuinely don't know how that translates into a movie, but I'm interested to see it. Juck Juckson, thank you for the 2 months. Thanks for the content, Luke. My grandfather passed away yesterday. Oh, I'm so sorry, my friend. So chilling and watching the stream today is more relaxing than usual. Much love, man. Well, hopefully we can get your mind onto gaming discourse and things that make your day a little bit brighter and more fun. Much love, Juxon. Much love. Everybody in chat, send Juxon some love. Send Juxon some love. It's never easy losing someone. Hopefully you're doing okay, my friend. Eric, thank you for that one. Are you still playing Crimson Desert? Do you see it being a Game of the Year contender given the positive player reviews on Steam and the general turnaround? Thank you for the amazing videos and game coverage. Thank you, my friend. Do I think it'll get nominated? Probably not. Probably for best like adventure game. I don't think it'll be nominated by that panel of jurors for like the Jeff Keighley show. So I'm not personally expecting that, but I do think it'll be nominated for awards. But as for a lot of individual people, I think it'll be a lot of individual people's Game of the Year. As for whether I'm still playing it, I am. I have some things I am juggling at the same time. So, you know, I want to play it more, but I am juggling some things behind the scenes that I can't really talk about. So, you know, it's a balancing act, but that's kind of par for the course. But it's been nice to be able to just take my time with it, not have to rush through it. What I do know for sure is that no matter how hard I would have tried, there is no way in God's green earth I would have been able to finish that game in the 2 weeks we had. Like, there is no chance. Dude, it's so freaking huge. It's insane. I do not know how anybody would be able to actually roll credits on it without rushing like crazy. Let's see. Red Fajita, thank you for the 10 again. Just to update, I passed my thesis defense last Friday. Congratulations, my friend, Red Fajita. Thank you for telling us. I'm glad to hear. I was wondering how it went. I will now be referred to as Master Red Fajita, please, and thank you. Here's my celebratory cheers from across the states. Thank you, Master Red Fajita. Thank you, Master Red Fajita, and congratulations, Master Red Fajita. Everyone bowed out to the Master for passing the thesis defense. Zach, thank you for the 5. I don't like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. It has too much water. Dude, it literally is like complaining that Black Flag is too focused on piracy. Or like it's a game called Assassin's Creed Black Flag. But instead of like talking about the socioeconomic implications of piracy and the dangers of a capitalistic society run by a colonistic empire, they just like sing pirate shanties and dig for treasure. 6 out of 10. Like, I would not be surprised if that's how they would handle it nowadays. Because that's just their brains are fried, dude. Tony, thank you for the 20. Thank you again for that. That was a very sweet message and very generous. Appreciate you. Shifai, thank you for the 5. I just got $1 an hour raised, so Bahamas, huh? Dude, we'll go. My recommendation for the Bahamas, though, is stay at a resort. One of the places we stayed at or visited when we were there, apparently, so my wife, she's on a bunch of Facebook groups that her mom added her to for that island we were staying at. And it's of like locals and people who vacation there a lot. Apparently one of the buildings that we went to, like a month after we were there, the entire building collapsed. Like it just collapsed because there's no real building standards there. They just kind of do whatever they want to do and then like lease it out as an Airbnb or VRBO. So my recommendation is like go to a nice big resort where potentially this roof won't collapse. That's my recommendation. Yeah. Building code, not really a thing. We learned, not really a thing. It's just kind of whatever they do. When's the Luke Stevens Super Cruise coming? Dude, that would actually be really fun. I would love to do I'd love to do a cruise. Regulation impedes progress. Yeah, I guess they did build it quickly. The problem is that apparently then they tried to sue the guy that owned it, but he's like a Russian oligarch that owned it. And so he's just gone. No, like he's gone. So there's no recourse. So people are like, dude, we could have died. The building collapsed. And like, he's just some super freaking rich dude that is from Russia and is part of that like upper echelons of the government. It's like, it's crazy. Like the Bahamas, dude, it's kind of like a Wild West. People don't realize, but it's wild. You'll just be there and there's like one of Putin's buddies over there sunning on the beach. It's crazy. It's weird. You look off in the distance and you can see a super giga yacht that's like $300 million. And it's like, oh, one of the co-founders of Microsoft is in there. Of course. Duh. You know, I'm not staying on a super yacht. He is. It's just wild. Let's see. Joshua, are you excited for the Bloodborne movie by Jacksepticeye? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Was in an Uber. Just curious on your opinion. I am cautiously optimistic. I'm still worried it'll like randomly get funding pulled and disappear and they'll cancel it, but I'm cautiously optimistic. If it sees the light of day, yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to see it. I'm just trying not to get my hopes up because I feel like we've been burned before. Gregory, thank you for the membership, my friend. Godsmack, we're almost there, guys. Hang with me, almost there. Godsmack, thank you for the 5. Pragmata is just good video game. Also, have you had a chance to play Replaced at all? Yes, it's also on my my Legion Go. that's a really good game for like handheld on the go. And yeah, I mean, replaced the music, art direction. It's fantastic. I can't wait to like play all the way through it and see what the story has. RPG Veteran, thank you for that one. Capcom is almost Naughty Dog of 2026. I'm going to be honest, RPG Veteran, I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what that means. Batman, thank you for the 5. Hi Luke, will you be playing 007? That is the plan. That's what I would like to do. 007 I find very intriguing. They call me Chubbs. What a fantastic name. Thank you for that super chat. Luke, I'd love to see you check the War Dogs early access preview. They are really doing something different in the attack shooter genre. Thank you for the recommendation. I will pull that up in another tab and I will look at it after stream. I will dig into it. Thank you for the suggestion, my friend. Thank you. I've got that pulled up. I will look at that. Thank you. And then last one before we get into this, Pinkie Pie, thank you for the 10. Not happy Monday, Luke. I heard you're a dad, so here's a dad joke for your kids to cringe. What's the best gift you could give someone? A broken drum set. No one can beat that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'll give you that one. 1-0. 1-0, Pinkie Pie. You got me there. 1-0. Hugs and kisses. Hugs and kisses to you, my friend. To you too, my friend. Pragmata review coming, Luke. I like I said, I've not finished it. I'm like I don't know exactly how long, but I'm a few hours in. I plan to finish it. It's not too long, I've heard. So I plan to finish it maybe even on Thursday. So depending on when I finish it, how quickly I get through it and can collect my thoughts, possibly. At the very least, I'll come on stream and we'll talk about it. But yeah, I'm hoping to get through it. 10 hours or so. Yeah, I heard it wasn't that crazy. It was like between 10 and 14, depending on how you, like how fast you are with it. Okay. Let's talk about, what's the first one? We should probably talk about the alien wearing a human mask known as Jim Ryan. We should probably talk about that real quick. Okay. New segment. You thought you could hide and retire, but we're back because you suck. Okay, everybody, it's time we talk about him once more. The man who I think single-handedly squandered an entire generation of gaming, billions of dollars, hundreds if not thousands of jobs, really just a master of being a moron. And I know how cringy it is for a YouTuber to like point at a successful businessman and be like, he's stupid. But the fact that he no longer has his job and retired in disgrace, I think at least demonstrates that the leadership at Sony agreed that he, at the very least, was not doing a great job. It wasn't going the way he wanted it to go. Of course, we're talking about Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan, we've talked about at length. He's been out of the script for what word was I looking for? He's been out of consideration for a while, out of the game for a while, because he retired. And when he retired, it was really weird. PlayStation had a series of projects that weren't really going quite right. Their big live service push wasn't going the way that they thought it would, which was kind of his baby. And then he announced he was retiring. And when he was asked why, he was like, yeah, I'm getting really sick of having to fly from the UK to Japan regularly. It's like, what? Okay. Like, you don't like flying? That's why you're retiring? What I personally think happened is I think everything was going sour in the background when all of this was happening when he retired. A guy named Hiroki Totoki, who was the CFO, I believe, he got promoted. He becomes the big man in charge. He does a comprehensive analysis of all of their companies and all of their subsidiary companies and everything Sony is doing. He evaluates PlayStation, finds it wanting because at the stage in the generation when they should have been hitting like a 20% margin, so for every dollar, they're taking 20%. They were at like 4 cents to 6 cents per dollar, way beneath the margin that they should have had. So Hiroki Totoki comes in and it's like, what the hell are you doing? This is going bad. It's almost like you're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on stuff that isn't turning a profit. Maybe you need to leave. And I think that Jim retired before he could be fired. It's one of those situations where he's welcomed to retire. You know, it's like you can ride off into the sunset, or we can fire you and humiliate you. And then you lose your stock options. You lose all this stuff, or you can just leave. And then it doesn't signal problems to shareholders. We'll just smile and nod. So I think that's what happened to him. Personally, just a theory, a lizard theory. But why are we talking about him again today? Well, because one of our sneaking suspicions has been confirmed through reporting, okay? Basically, what just came out was that former PlayStation executive Shuhei Yoshida, he revealed why he was fired. Now, up until now, this has been hush-hush quiet. Shuhei doesn't say what happened. It's one of those like smile and nod. Just decided to move on. You know, I wanted to pursue other opportunities, that type of thing. Now he's actually saying stuff. It's almost like the NDA ran out. Former PlayStation veteran Shuhei Yoshida said he was fired as president of Sony Worldwide Studios after clashing with then CEO Jim Ryan. Yoshida departed his top job overseeing PlayStation's internal teams such as Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, Guerrilla, and Insomniac back in 2019 when it was first announced that he would be stepping down to head a new PlayStation-backed indie developer initiative. In the years since, Yoshida has claimed that he was asked by Jim Ryan to, quote, do the indie job or leave the company. Something he eventually did do, though not until 2025. Now Yoshida has revealed more about what led to that job change, effectively a demotion, which he has blamed on having disagreed with Ryan over some ridiculous things. Now, if you've listened to like the documentaries, the Racing Kratos documentary, you'll remember that Shuhei actually came into that studio at one point and was like reviewing the reboot of God of War 2018, offering feedback. Like, he was part of the reason why those games of the PS4 gen ended up the way that they did, all really, really good, because he was part of the decision makers. He was part of the guy that was given the thumbs up, thumbs down on different aspects of these games. He was one of the guys responsible for making the PS4 gen so successful, in my humble opinion. I think that's also borne out by the fact that he was in charge of like literally all of these big, massive, successful studios. Like Naughty Dog, say what you will about them, they had a great PS4 gen. Santa Monica, they had a really good PS4 gen. Tell you what. Sucker Punch, they did pretty good too. I mean, Ghost, come on. Guerrilla Games, very successful. Very successful. Insomniac, also tremendously successful. Blew up into the mainstream. Like, he was directly in charge, and the teams he was in charge of blew up into a worldwide phenomenon. Like nothing. Okay? And he's a purist. He's a purist. I think Jacob was saying, Jacob, did we see Shuhei at Summer Games Fest? I think we did. And dude, he went up to every single booth and to every indie developer, no matter how big or small the team or the game was. He went up to every single one of those teams, shook their hands, took photos if they wanted it, but he tried every demo. He was just a lover of gaming. Like, he just is so passionate and genuinely a fan. I don't think that's true of the Lizard Man. As I've said since he first got his job, I don't think Jim, honestly, probably ever touched a video game controller. You would never see him playing games. You would never see him engaging with gamers. He didn't go to events like the Game Awards. He didn't go to events like Summer Games Fest because he didn't want to bother with that. Gamers smell bad. We don't want to do that. Like, come on. No. He would never do that. His approach was always be totally separate. He is the businessman. He doesn't want to deal with any of the gamers or fans or none of that crap. You know, it's why, say what you will about Phil Spencer, he made his Xbox profile public, you know, where you could go and see P3 playing Fallout 76 or playing this game or that game. You could see regularly what Phil Spencer was playing because he was an actual gamer. He was an actual fan. I don't think Jim Ryan played games, period. Jacob says, yeah, Shuhei was the coolest. He made time for every dev and every fan, and he interacted with them. He made posts every day about the games he played too on Twitter. Yeah, genuine fan. But he clashed with Jim Ryan over what he describes as some stupid things. What were these stupid things? Come on. Now the website's locking up. There we go. What were these stupid things? Well, let's see. So yeah, he was told to take the job or else. Basically, he said, quote, I helped Santa Monica to make God of War, Naughty Dog to make Uncharted and The Last of Us. I helped Sucker Punch make the beautiful Ghost of Tsushima. Yoshida said during a talk at the ALT or Alt Games Convention via This Week in Video Games, quote, Ghost of Tsushima was one of the last games that I worked on as the president of Worldwide Studios. But in 2019, after 11 years leading the first party development, I was fired from the role, Yoshida continued. Jim Ryan wanted to remove me from the first party because I didn't listen to him. He asked to do some ridiculous things and I said no. Now, who ended up replacing Shuhei as the head of Sony's studios? If we just look this up, okay? President of Sony Worldwide Studios. It was reformed slightly. Because they took the jobs and they kind of shuffled them around and retitled them and did some other stuff. But what they now have it labeled as is the CEO of the Sony Studio Business Group. So the business of the studios. It's a slightly different title, but effectively it's the same thing apparently. And the head of Sony Interactive Entertainment. It is, of course, Mr. Concord himself, Herman Holst. Now, what do we know about Herman? He was like buddy with Jim Ryan and seemingly was all in on everything Jim wanted to do, specifically the live service push. So it doesn't take a genius to put two and two together. Shuhei, who is a big fan of these like single player games that many people consider to be masterpieces across the board from that PS4 gen. They boot Shuhei out because he doesn't want to do something for Jim. Herman takes over his role and also partially replaces Sean Layden as well, who also apparently was giving some resistance. And all of a sudden, Jim Ryan has a yes man who's willing to push all of their biggest studios into doing live service stuff. Now, do you really think Shuhei would have said, yeah, let's have Naughty Dog make a live service game. Let's have Guerrilla do that. Let's have like all of these amazing studios. Let's have them set aside what they were doing and start working on live service stuff. You know, that really successful God of War project we had, let's do a live service spin-off of that. And let's have freaking Blue Point do it. You know, the team that made the amazing Demon Souls remake? Yeah, forget that. Let's have them do a God of War live service game. Sony Bend, let's have them work on some live service something that never sees the light of day. Like, you can start to see why Shuhei probably was booted out, because he didn't want to go along with the live service thing that Jim Ryan was pushing. Now, what is this live service thing? Just as a refresher, this is an article from May of 2022. We are almost 4 years back. Crazy how time flies. But 4 years ago, this article came out. Sony projects launching 12 live service games by 2025. It is now past that point, and they did not launch 12 games at all. Not even close. You can see these are some of the leaks, or not leaks. It's a slide that came out. You can see this isn't completely new info. During a Q3 call in February of 2022, Jim Ryan already stated Sony's intention to launch 10 live service games by 2026. Now it appears Sony's target has shifted to a few more live service games than that number mentioned in February. So just a month later, or a few months later rather, they had increased the number by like an additional 2 live service games. Like what? How are they just casually doing that? How do you just casually do that? It's because they were just like pointing at studios being like, you make something live service, you do this. It's wild. It's wild. But this was their goal. Their goal was to pump out live service games as quickly as they could. And by just throwing crap at the wall, they could find success. Because they had this slide. This is from their 2022 brief. Single player game catalog. You see these? And then live service, they only have one. That's a problem. That's a problem. So you see, this is what they wanted it to be. Blow it up to 12 by the end of fiscal year 2025. 12 live service games. So that this is dwarfed by the number of live service games they have. What have they gotten out the door? Well, I guess the better question is, what have they gotten that's successful? Helldivers. And what's funny is that the developers that have worked on Helldivers are very open and have talked to people at events like the Game Awards. A friend of mine was chatting with one of the devs from Helldivers and said that Sony was pretty much completely hands off with Helldivers. They did not expect it to blow up the way that it did. And when it did blow up, they kind of tried to step in and take some credit for it. But they were like, we kind of did our own thing and it was really nice. And then it just exploded and blew everybody away. But they got Helldivers. They did get Marathon out the door, which was in question for a little bit. But the question with Marathon has always been not whether it's a successful niche game, but whether it's successful enough for PlayStation. Because almost certainly Marathon constituted a $200 to $300 million expense, and they have not made that much money back. So it's not profitable yet. It could eventually be, certainly. The question is whether Sony's willing to take that risk and let them work on it for a decade to eventually build up to profitability. That's a big question mark that I don't know I don't think anybody knows the answer to. I don't think Sony knows the answer yet. I think they're still evaluating it. So the question has not been, is Marathon... I think Marathon's a solid game, but that's not the question. The question is it financially successful enough for Sony to be happy with it? And that's a totally separate question, and one that personally I don't see how Sony could look at the numbers they have for it and consider it to be like a smash and success. I don't think it is. But having said that, I think again it starts to line up why Shuhei was probably pushed out because he didn't want to go along with all these live service pushes. You can see in 2019, after 11 years of leading the first party development, I was fired from the role. Jim Ryan wanted to remove me from first party because I didn't listen to him. He asked me to do some ridiculous things and I said no. And I think those ridiculous things were the live service pushes and things that he was going after at the time. Unfortunately, Yoshida did not elaborate further on what these ridiculous things were that Jim Ryan asked him to do. IGN has contacted Sony for more. You can see Ryan served as CEO of PlayStation from 2019 to 2024, after which point he departed the company and seemingly retired from video games for good. His tenure saw PlayStation counter Xbox's own developer spending spree with the acquisition of companies such as Spider-Man maker Insomniac and Destiny developer Bungie, among others, and also a notable push into the development of live service games. The result of these initiatives were mixed, with some newly acquired studios now closed, such as Bluepoint, or still yet to ship a game, such as Haven, while many live service projects have been canceled. Or they launched and then were canceled and the studio shut down, like Firewalk with Concord. Yoshida, meanwhile, now runs his own indie game consultancy firm. I'm free to show up in any podcast, he said. Now I can talk about Nintendo, Xbox, and Steam, and I get to see how Nintendo and Xbox support indies. It's very, very cool. How awesome is that? How awesome is that? That now he just goes around supporting indie developers and guys who can really benefit from his expertise. That's awesome. You gotta love Shuhei. So with all of this, I just want to, again, remind people how... Like, I get it. I have a degree. Take a shot. Luke has a degree in corporate finance. He said the thing. But the reason I say that is because I get better than most how sometimes the best, the decision that's best for the company is not necessarily the one that's going to make the most people happy. It's not always the decision that's going to make you popular or make YouTubers like you. I get that. Sometimes what needs to be done for the sake of the company's financial health is a rough decision. You know, you're amputating a finger because it's infected. Nobody's going to like that you did that, but it had to be done. You know, I get that. But what I'm about to show you is just another reminder of why I consider Jim Ryan in particular to be like not even sleazeball does it justice. Like it's just like the embodiment of corporate malevolence and evil. Okay, not to oversell it or anything. This was also mentioned. I'm glad that Nick Tech tweeted this out because this was mentioned by him, and it's important to remember. There was this tweet posted by Izzy. Okay, Izzy is one of the people in the picture. I think that's Izzy. But this was at PlayStation Studios London. Okay.
At Rich Sounds White donated $20 through Super Chat. This is the first time I've actually gotten to catch your stream. Lunch is on me, winking face.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Very generous of you. Very generous, 20. And I'm glad you're here, my friend. Looks like someone is getting Taco Bell. Oh, dude, Taco Bell. Now I've thought about it. Now I'm hungry. Yeah, we're gonna end the stream, guys. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Thank you for the 20. Appreciate you, my friend. But so this picture was posted by Izzy. Izzy's in the photo with Jim Ryan, and this is at PlayStation London Studios. PlayStation London, I think they were doing like VR stuff, like PSVR stuff. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were working on some games. What is important about this photo, though? Well, look at the sweet photo. It's an old elderly man standing with some young go-getters, you know, movers and shakers in the industry. And it's labeled, of course, "Farewell, Jim Ryan," with a little salute. This was after he announced that he was retiring and he was leaving the company imminently. He went to PlayStation London Studios and they threw a party for him. They had cakes, they had cupcakes with his like little face on it. Bye, Jim. Farewell, Jim. Good luck. 5 freaking days after he was in this photo, literally standing elbow to elbow with these people, he fired every single one. He shut down the studio. As he's standing here, smiling, he knows at this point, when he's taking this photo, these people are all about to lose their jobs 5 days later. If that's not some reptilian, evil, corpo scumbag crap, I don't know what is. I get maybe as a company, it didn't make sense to have PlayStation London open anymore. I get that. But to stand and let these people throw you a party, smile, take pictures with them, be all buddy-buddy, knowing damn well you're about to lay all of them off. That's evil, man. That's slimy. That is slimy. There is a way to be an executive that has a heart and is a human being. This is something else. I'm glad Nick Tech tweeted this photo out, because when I sat down and I was like setting everything up to do this segment, I was like, I got to find that picture when he was with the London guys, because we've talked about this before, but I need people to remember this. It's important not to forget. And I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Nick Tech tweeted it out as well. We don't hate this guy enough. Remember when Jim Ryan was at PlayStation London Studios and after 5 days he announced the studio was being closed? The damage he has done to PlayStation and gaming by pushing live service so much was catastrophic. Yeah, and he got out in 2024. Concord pops and implodes and is a total disaster. I believe he left shortly before Concord. And at the time there was questions of whether he knew that was going to implode or not, or at least suspected it was. But he got out. Herman had the chance to try to turn things around. Didn't really do that. He's continued doubling down on it. They've closed a bunch of studios that were working on live service stuff. They've laid off even more people. I don't think there's any way to look at Jim Ryan's tenure as anything other than a cataclysmic disaster and a total waste of time, resources, people's labor, their passion, their love, their time, everything. He was an unmitigated disaster. And honestly, if Xbox weren't in such a bad spot themselves, I think PlayStation very likely could have seen a total cratering of their market share. But because Xbox was also busy crapping the bed at the same time, there's got to be a Amber Heard joke there somewhere, right? Like there's got to be. While Xbox was pulling an Amber at the same time, because of that, they also couldn't take advantage of these mistakes that PlayStation was making so consistently. It's too bad. It's too bad. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe the start of next generation, something can change and get shaken up. You know what I'd never expected to see? I feel like I've been saying that a lot in the recent past. There's let me show you this. There was a LinkedIn post from Just, I'm not sure, Van Drunen. In a leaked memo, Xbox's new CEO, Asha Sharma, says Game Pass has become too expensive. Sure enough, its original pricing did not deliver on its vision, raised the question of whether charging players at all still makes sense. Her last job offers some clues. And then it's an article breaking this down from The Verge. But why did I pull this up? Well, if you scroll down, somebody commented on it, okay? Sean Layden, former head of Sony Interactive Entertainment, also responsible for helping the PS4 gen explode. They're trying so hard to will this into health despite unfavorable diagnostics and grim prognosis. A clarifying post-mortem would do the entire industry some good. Asha actually responded and asked if he wanted to chat sometime. The new CEO of Xbox is directly interacting with Sean Layden, asking to get coffee and chat about what they could do better. That's what you want. You want an executive to actually try. which is why it's so insane that as we're looking at this stuff, I feel like I point these things out. And in any other industry, you'd be like, yeah, I'd expect that. Somebody leaves Meta, somebody at Apple probably wants to talk to them. I feel like that would be just totally normal. But for so many years, for basically this entire generation, there's been very little, it seems, energy and effort to really try. But Asha is actually trying. Now, talk is cheap. It's easy to talk to people. That's fine. It's really hard to actually build something. So actions speak a lot louder than words. We do know that there are job listings that have been posted for these types of positions. So, for example, Hazador Gaiman actually found this job listing that you can pull up on LinkedIn. And this is a full-time position. Let me pull up the actual job listing right here. So, Senior Manager Xbox Brand and Reputation. This is a job listing available right now, posted on the 16th. You can literally go apply for this right now if you want. And as you can see, reporting to the Xbox head of brand and platform communications, you will partner closely with the Xbox comms and marketing teams, as well as Xbox leadership, social media, public affairs, and engineering teams to drive storytelling to protect and elevate the Xbox brand. This is a high impact role that will lead business critical, proactive, and reactive work across gaming corporate issues, as well as larger narratives, including business momentum. This role will also build and nurture relationships with key business and industry press, as well as analysts, and will help manage a external agency team to drive both strategy and best practices across our corporate narrative and issues management. Really fancy way of saying you need to make people like us again. We need people to not think of Xbox and think of a hollowed out shell commanded by a multi-trillion-dollar company. You need to build up our reputation. The fact that they weren't hiring people to do this before is also amazing. But they're actually trying. And as I've said for months since this first started happening, the healthiest thing for all of gaming is for there to be really healthy competition across the board. A dominant, monopolistic PlayStation is not good for the industry. You may think it is, we'll get more Last of Us style games. Demonstrably not. You might get less because the executives will get so full of themselves, they'll just start pushing live service stuff. And then you'll have to wait a decade before you get another game from Naughty Dog. So just because you think maybe it'll be just fine, no. Competition is what keeps them pushing. That's what keeps them pushing and trying. That's a $500K job, by the way. most of the money you would make from that job would be in stock options. I'll tell you what. The 500K salary, you got to realize once you're in these upper echelon positions at these corporations, the salary is not where the vast majority of your money is coming from. You are mainly using your salary to buy the stock options and to redeem them. That's where most of your money is. So yeah, the 500K is, like, just to be clear, that's a lot of money. That's like a sliver of the total package you're probably getting. Who was worse, Jim Ryan or Don Matrick? That's honestly, it's a good question. I think in terms of I think Don Matrick's effects and mistakes have cascaded for basically, at this point, over a decade. I mean, since 2013, it's spilled over even to today. So 13 years. It's probably going on 15 years soon enough. So Don's track record, still to this day, his mistakes are being felt because he started the downward trend. I don't know what Jim Ryan's long-term effect is going to be, because it seems like they're trying to clean up his mess pretty aggressively and quickly. There's still remnants with, like, Fair Game $, with Hunter's Gathering and stuff like that, but it seems like a lot of his stuff they're trying to shake off. So in 5 years, people may not remember any of the effects of Jim Ryan, and it'll just be like, yeah, the PS5 was kind of hollow for the first 5 years or so, but then it was pretty solid. That's at least my hope. But as of right now, I think Don Matrick still has it. He's giving him a run for his money, but Don, Cameron says Don literally almost killed Xbox as a company. I mean, literally, like, he kind of, if you were trying to cause Xbox to implode, you pretty much do exactly what Don Matrick did to a T across the board. Like, it really was impressive. It really, really was impressive. But anyway, let's see. All of this to say, I think that there's the potential for, like, some actual competition to come. They are hiring people. Asha is willing to talk with people to try, and even people from the other side of the competitive aisle, willing to have those conversations to at least get some feedback and try to figure it out. And that's what you would hope to see, to actually be willing to open the door and get as much feedback and hear as many perspectives as you can to make a better decision. She still has to make the right decisions and still has to lead Xbox out of a pit. But so far, it seems to me she's doing everything right. And she's not hunkering down. Like Jim Ryan, if you look at how he ran it when he took over PlayStation, it was immediately he was hired to push live service. That was clear. It didn't matter if there was people giving pushback. If they gave him pushback, he would fire them, as we saw with Shuhei, which obviously I think was a mistake. Imagine how different this generation would have been if Shuhei had been allowed to stay in that position. Just fathom not having wasted 6 years on live service crap. Like, imagine how different this generation would have been. And how many people would still be employed, how many studios would have blown up, how Bluepoint almost certainly would have pumped out Bloodborne remake or whatever by now. Like, totally different. But Jim Ryan wasn't interested in opinions. He was doing what he wanted to do. And so he pushed it into the ground. Whereas Asha, at least right now, is willing to talk to people even if they are saying stuff like Xbox, are trying so hard to will this Game Pass into health despite unfavorable diagnostics and a grim prognosis. Clearly not a believer in Game Pass, and Asha wants to talk to him instead of la 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 la, I can't hear you. She's actually willing to talk, which is exactly what I would hope to see. So we'll see. Fingers crossed they can figure it out. Because the best thing for PlayStation is if Xbox is happy and healthy. The best thing for Xbox is if PlayStation is a healthy competitor. And, Nintendo's kind of its own thing. They kind of are in their own bubble. But either way, I hope that they can figure it out. But just another reminder of why Jim Ryan sucked. So there you go. Can we do Black Flag recap? There's not a lot to recap until the showcase thing, whatever they're calling it. Once we do that, we will be able to talk about it. So yeah, fingers crossed. Somebody is sharing with me an alleged GTA 6 screenshot. Hold on. Let me see. I'm enhancing. I'm enhancing. This is allegedly the... Do I share this? If it's fake, it's not the worst fake I've ever seen. It's not the worst. Is it? It's a ChatGPT fake. Saw lots of those recently. This is what they're claiming. This is what they're claiming is the leaked screenshot. It does have that sort of like AI generated flair to it where it just looks too clean. But it's a screenshot of a screenshot, to be clear. It doesn't really give you anything to work with too. I also don't remember him having tattoos, but that could just be a player customization thing. Leonida Keys. I don't know. I don't know. Not the most compelling I've ever seen. Why would there be a paint tree in the top right? I say fake. Nowadays, like, it's kind of the benefit. I've been telling people, like, my big brain strategy for getting rid of gaming leaks, not getting rid of them, combating it, is to just flood social media with fake AI generated ones, because then you don't know what's real. Like, if it, like, let's say hypothetically, okay, big brain right now, hypothetically, rewind the clocks or bring forward, I don't know. It's 2020 again. The Last of Us Part 2 starts to leak. There are screenshots going around involving golf clubs and burnettes on the floor. What I would do if I were Naughty Dog, I'd be like, everybody open Mid-Journey. And we just start pumping out hundreds of fake in-game screenshots that all look kind of similar but are tweaked and look a little bit different, where you put this character on the floor and then this character on the floor and then this over there and you do this, and I would just fill the market with so many fake ones, nobody knows what's real anymore. And so, you know, people are like, there's probably one of these that's real, or a few of them that are real. I don't know where to sift through or what. And then the natural reaction when you see something like that is like, it's probably fake. You know, like that, I think is how you fix it. Because then nobody knows what to take seriously. You just flood it. You flood it. Exactly. Do you work for the CIA? No. Was I bluffing? You'll never know. 4chan would figure it out. Let's be real, they would. They would be able to go back and figure out what was the first post that was made and go from there. But, you know, it's worth a try. It's worth a try. Anyway. Let's see. Let me close this down. Okay, close this, close the job posting. Okay. I want to talk about something none of you guys probably expected me to talk about today. I forgot how funny this is. Let me read these real quick. Where did I leave off? Yeah, let's see. My listening library with a 5. If we all apply for someone, or if we all apply for the job, someone will get the job. Then we can use this community as a monthly think tank to fix them from the outside. Ooh. Yeah, if somebody gets that job, you don't have to give me most of the money, just like a lot of it, and I'll help you. But I'll do like none of the actual work. I'll just like, you give me money and then I'll like talk to you and then you do the work. We could do that. We do that. I've always wondered, like, what's my exit? Like, when I want to get, like, I'm tired of making videos, or you guys are tired of me making videos, like, what's my exit? Do I try to get a job like in the industry as a consultant, or do I try to get like one of those big boy jobs at one of the companies, or do I just go and become like a peanut farmer? Like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Yeah, become a waifu streamer. I could do that. I'd be good at that. I'd be really good at that. We'll figure it out. Look at their candle maker. I like the way you think, Master Guide. I like that. I like that. Steven, thank you for the sub over on Twitch, my friend. Don't forget about the abandoned Insomniac live service Spider-Man The Great Web. You can still find the trailer re-uploaded on YouTube. Yeah, dude, that was apparently pretty far along. Yeah, that's pretty far along. Yeah, suspiciously good at it. Game director, I would love to work on games. The tricky thing is that, like, people have asked, Luke, would you make your own studio? The problem is that to make a studio nowadays, you need like big funding. I mean, it's a many millions of dollars kind of thing. I don't have many millions of dollars, so I have to go get it from like venture capital or from an investment firm or something. And it's doable. It's not impossible, but that becomes your entire life. So if I were gonna do it, it would be like, that's the focus now. You know, ask Tencent. There you go. Just make a live service game. I hear those make bank. Yeah. Guys, how about low block? Instead of high guard, it's low block. Low block. We'll actually shadow drop it. Jeff's not getting anywhere near it. We'll do no trailers and we'll just do the opposite. Low kick. Oh, that could work. That could work. Low blocks. Does sound like Roblox. I haven't played Rogue Mane. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really good. I haven't finished it yet though. Hope to finish it on the plane. Okay, let me read this. Let me talk about this real quick. Okay. Okay. New segment thing. So today I wanted to talk about something that I'm betting you guys didn't see coming, and that is an effect. A phenomenon that's known in creative endeavors, named after a guy who was in the background of a documentary once. Let me know if you see him.
And they use something they call pyroprocessing. The interesting thing is they call it pyroprocessing, but it's a molten salt process. They're dissolving this thing in a molten salt, and they're doing electrochemistry on it. Why don't they call it molten salt? They will.
If you don't know what the hell just happened, George Lucas randomly showed up in this dude's documentary about electrolysis or something. He just showed up in the background, totally unsolicited, walking into a building. It's just George Lucas. Oh, hey, dude. So what am I talking about? The George Lucas effect. I saw this clip. It's from an interview that Kiwi Talks did, and he talked about, it's from Gabriel Betancourt, a lighting artist that worked on The Last of Us 1, 2, and Uncharted 4. And he talked a little bit about the George Lucas effect that has started to plague multiple developers within the industry. And I thought it was interesting. So what is this little snippet? Well, I'll let the dev talk again. Again, this is a snippet that Kiwi Talks posted to X from his extended talk with Gabriel. Highly recommend you go listen to all of the interviews because he interviews a lot of devs that have worked on your favorite games. And it's very, very enlightening and very cool. But I'll just let him, Gabriel, talk a little bit and fill you in on this, specifically as pertains to Naughty Dog, this effect. If you're not sure what the George Lucas effect is, effectively, it's a phenomenon that happens in creative endeavors when one person is responsible for a disproportionate number of the creative decisions. And everybody around that person basically gets out of the way of that one creative being. So like Hideo Kojima, whatever he says at Kojima Productions goes. Whatever Neil Druckmann says at Naughty Dog is what goes. Whatever Todd Howard says at BGS is what goes. Whatever George Lucas says at Lucasfilm is what goes, right? When you have one guy that's responsible for all of those big decisions, right? Real quick, I'm the Juggernaut Glitch, gave 10 memberships to the YouTube community. Thank you. That is outrageously generous. Appreciate you, my friend. Welcome, everybody. And if you just got a membership, get in our Discord. Connect your YouTube to your Discord account. Get in there. We'd love to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Again, Juggernaut, very generous. Let me just let this play, and then we'll circle back.
Neil has an instinct for what is visceral, and he puts that and he's not afraid to be extra visceral, like HBO Game of Thrones visceral. He's not afraid of that. I'm the opposite. I prefer, I'm like Jeremy Huxley, who's like, oh yeah, that, I prefer the happy stuff, not the heavy stuff. And, I'm a little more like that. I don't know that I would take the same creative risks as Neil does, but I do acknowledge that as a creator, you do want to err on the side of something that makes people feel more rather than less. But I also think that it needs to be done carefully and with tact and thoughtful. And I know that was absolutely true in the first game, where I think there was more balance in the input of the whole project, including story and character development. But by The Last of Us Part 2, remember earlier in our conversation talking about scale, I think because the team on The Last of Us Part 2 was so much bigger, the room to be able to have the conversations to either push back, balance out, or, if Neil wanted to serve this hardcore cocktail and all it needed was a little lime, in The Last of Us Part 1, somebody would have been able to put in the lime. And in Part 2, I don't know that there was a space for that as much anymore.
It's a very well put analogy. If you've played The Last of Us Part 2, you know exactly what he's referring to. Neil's tendency is to go very dark, very gory, dare I say upsetting. And what happens is when one person becomes the creative decision maker, there's no pushback anymore. And so you don't have anybody to balance you out, which is what oftentimes very strong creative forces need, is they need somebody to bounce off of, to let them go crazy and then pull them back a little bit, right? George Lucas had that. I believe it was his wife at the time in the original Star Wars films was known for helping him work on dialogue and figure out how to do things. And by the time they did the prequels, she was not involved, and it showed with the case of like BGS with Todd. That's another instance where back in 2010 or 2008, the team was so small and everybody there had worked with Todd for 10, 15, 20 years that they knew him very well and could give him pushback. If he wanted to do something and they're like, I'm not sure if that's going to work, I'm not sure 1,000 Planets is going to work, they could give him pushback and then he'd be able to respond to it. Whereas nowadays, they have hundreds of employees and that nobody wants to be the guy that told Todd no. And so people just go along with it and everybody turns into a yes man. I think that this is also a potential problem, though we haven't seen it really rear its head yet. So maybe they have a process to protect against it. But it's been a question with like From Software. Hidetaka Miyazaki, obviously, if anybody has creative control of that studio, it's him. And fair enough, he's very good. But so far, we haven't seen any downside. It seems like him being in total control works out just fine. But who knows, maybe Duskbloods will be the first time there's a misstep. I don't know. But in the case of Naughty Dog in particular, that has been a consistent point people have brought up with all of this, with the process of creative decision making at Naughty Dog, is that as the power has been kind of concentrated on Neil, everything has become concentrated on his decision making. Tim Cook is retiring. Okay, we'll talk about that. I think I actually just like 2 weeks ago, we talked on stream how I thought he was going to be retired by the end of the year. That's funny. We like just did a segment about that he was prepping to retire. So that's funny that he that just was announced. We'll circle back to that. But I think did they name the successor? Is it the hardware guy? Somebody tell me in chat. Who's the successor to Tim? Is it the hardware guy? Former head of hardware, if he's been up. Yeah, Tim Apple. Yeah, Tim Apple. It is the hardware guy? Dude, I'm so good. Turnus, yeah. I told you so. Anyway, having said that, we'll finish this, then we can look at that. But this has been a common concern at Naughty Dog, former devs who have grown concerned that, as I love the analogy, as Neil wants to make a really potent cocktail, nobody feels or is able to add in the lime to balance the drink out. And so a lot of Neil's impulses get concentrated. Now, I've seen this. As you guys know, I've done a lot of like community theater. In college, I did a lot of plays and musicals and stuff. And one example that was a total dumpster fire was a play. I'll keep it vague. There was a play I was invited to do. It was written by a very nice lady who wrote like novels and stuff. But she had full creative freedom over the script. It was an atrocity. Like it was one of the worst scripts I'd ever read. Like it was so wordy, like not even paragraphs, like 10 to 15 page on like 8.5 by 11 paper, 8-point font, 10 to 15 page monologues of like this scientist talking about the intricacies of dirt and how they interact with microbiomes, and then hallucinating and seeing founding fathers from the US and how they would have interpreted the nematodes in the dirt, and how it was supposed to be an allegory for climate change. The whole thing was like actually insane. And it was because her impulse was to go really wordy. She came off of novels, even though she had some clever ideas for the story overarching. She, like, her impulses needed pushback. She needed somebody to be like, this is a play. You cannot have 15 pages of that. You just can't. It won't play. It doesn't play well on stage. The actor's going to struggle. It just doesn't work. We cannot do that. And how do we make it interesting? We're just going to have them on stage standing there in a spotlight regurgitating all that. It doesn't work. They needed somebody like that, but they didn't. She had total creative control. And you know what? The show was a dumpster fire. I went to the table read and it was so bad. I still feel bad about this. I made up some excuse. I was like, I have a work trip. I was working at Best Buy and I did have a work trip. I was going to be able to schedule around it where I was like, I was going to be able to like take a week off of rehearsal and make it work. Like it would be tough, but I could have done it. But after reading through the script, which we had not read before the table read, I was like, I cannot be a part of this. This is insane. And I'm not convinced this show will even happen. It's so much of a dumpster fire. And yeah, it ended up being a dumpster fire. I mean, she had sequences in that where like people were like, I think there was at one point like a miscarriage on stage and she wanted to have like balloons of fake blood and stuff, like nasty, gross, insane stuff. And nobody was giving her any pushback because it was just total insanity. Nobody felt they could push back. Now, I'm not saying Intergalactic the Heretic Prophet is going to be like that. Okay, maybe it is, but I would fully expect that Intergalactic is probably is probably going to be like very, very dark, very, very gritty, I would guess. I think if you think of all the darkest parts of like all the darkest parts of The Last of Us Part 2, I think it's just going to be double down and triple down. A lot of like the frustrations people had with like self-indulgent dialogue, I wouldn't be surprised if that's also a difficulty or a struggle here, because as power has been concentrated up at the top, you know, it becomes very hard to get feedback. And it's not like, you know, Neil even wants that to happen. There's been stories and interviews done also by Kiwi Talks about BGS, where like Todd has told people in his circle that he doesn't want all of the decisions to go through him. He wants people to say no. He wants people to be able to disagree. But because of the power differential, it just doesn't happen. And so you end up in this spot where there's just nobody can really be, critical. There's not that same level of feedback as there once was. The concern for Naughty Dog specifically is that Bruce Straley, after he left at the end of Uncharted 4, The Last of Us Part 2 was the first game that Neil was really fully in charge of, and we saw a lot of his darker impulses demonstrated there. That sounds way more intense than like he had a controversial story. But I think with this game, it's going to be really fascinating to see what a totally new IP built from the ground up, specifically the way that Neil wants it. It's going to be fascinating. But I would guess it's going to be really, really, really dark. I'm not guessing. I would assume there's not going to be a lot of chuckles in Intergalactic. I think it's probably going to leave you feeling kind of icky. Would be my guess. That's kind of what I'm expecting. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic. I've heard rumblings of what the game is supposed to be, and the rumblings are really, really positive. People who have worked on it, people who have seen it in action, have said really, really good things. They've made comparisons to games like Elden Ring, for example, but with like Naughty Dog levels of storytelling and cinematics. They've made comparisons to other like open world adventure games with really fierce and strong melee combat systems. I don't know when we'll see it next, but apparently the people who have seen it are pretty bullish on it. So time will tell, but I just think it's an interesting dynamic that applies to a lot of creative endeavors, specifically this idea that when you have a lot of the creative decision-making concentrated on one individual at the top, that you run into trouble getting countering opinions or feedback that's more critical. Somebody that says, no, this is a bad idea, we should do it this way. That starts to fall apart because people don't feel confident enough in countering that and in providing that feedback. Or there's no system in place to get that feedback passed up the chain. Because if the director only goes to one weekly meeting with the regular gameplay designers, the gameplay designer, if they're saying this isn't going to work, they can't get that message to the decision maker. And so it causes problems. So it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. But either way, I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. I know there's a lot of drama around Naughty Dog, as always. There's a lot of drama around every studio, but you can't deny that they are a very prolific studio and one of the most awarded studios in the industry, in the history of the industry. They are very, very successful. This is going to, I think, be a real test, though, because they're not able to rely on any sort of nostalgia or any sort of established characters. You don't have, of course, Joel and Ellie. You don't have Nathan Drake. Like, you've got a totally blank board to work with. And so it's going to be fascinating to see how it plays out. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Who just wrote bald? Rick in Twitch chat. I'm guessing there's a narrative reason for that. I'm guessing it's something like, there's some cult that they're fighting against and hair is some sort of currency. There's going to be some explanation. I don't think it's just like shaving her head for the sake of shaving it, but I guess time will tell. I guess we'll see. Just whenever somebody is confident enough to just type bald in chat, it's just funny. It's like the one time on stream I rolled up my sleeve and you could see how pale I was. Somebody just typed white. It's just like, oh, it's blinding. Yeah, fair enough. You got me. That's why they say my rapper name is Sour Cream. Pale as the undriven snow. Let's do, where did it go? Okay, Tim Apple. Dude, it's literally trending. Tim Apple is literally trending. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Tim Cook is stepping down as CEO of Apple. And just like I predicted, John Turnus is set to take over September 1st of 2026. This has been a long time coming. If you don't know Turnus, he's the hardware guy. So he's the guy that came in and was in charge of like overhauling their manufacturing processes and like get Apple back to being a really premium focused company. Back in like the late 2010s, they were starting to falter. Remember the butterfly keyboards and a lot of that stuff. So now he's taking over and it's going to be fascinating to see how he handles it, but interesting. Yeah, he took the role in 2021, overseeing an expansion in Apple's product lineup, improving quality, focusing on functional improvements around battery life, performance, and connectivity. Been criticized for not doing as much as previous hardware chiefs to implement breakthrough technologies. Yeah, he kind of plays it safe, but also he was apparently one of the guys that got the Vision Pro across the finish line, which is, even though nobody really uses the Vision Pro, it's like a very impressive piece of manufacturing. It's like the most impressive product nobody wants, is basically how it's been described. So we'll see. I don't know how that's going to go. I will say Tim Apple, he has mainly been known for like, he's a supply chain guy. So his whole thing was to just break into like China, start selling iPhones everywhere all the time, 5 different versions of them with all different, slightly different SKUs. Like that's been his MO, and he's been very good at it. Obviously Apple's a, multi-trillion-dollar company. It's a massive company, but he really lacked vision. And who knows, maybe Turnus has vision, or maybe he doesn't, and it's just going to be iPhones, but now in a new color. Maybe that's his approach. But yeah, he's going to stay on as chairman, so he'll still be there for occasional consulting and stuff like that, but Turnus is going to take over. So there you go. Big move. He's been in position since 2011, so a 15-year run, which is crazy. And if you look at Apple, like Apple going back, this is when he took over, is like roughly 2011, I believe it was. So like $13 a share. So Tim Apple has done pretty good. Shareholders are pretty happy with his performance, up 1900%. That's a good run as a CEO. That's pretty good. Okay. Even though a lot of people feel like the creativity and the vision's gone, this is all investors really care about. So, it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. They could do with going back to vision. I hope they get somebody who's willing to really push the boundary. That's all I'm hoping for. Of course, they're expected to do a folding phone, which I'm sure is just going to end up being like basically, the Z Fold, but slightly wider. So I'm not sure if that's going to really change it. Yeah, apparently it's going to look basically like this. It's going to be this form factor. This is the Huawei one, but the new iPhone is going to be effectively the same form factor. So we'll see how that goes. Honest question. Do we have any iPhone users in chat? I have a lot of Android users. I'm also an Android user. I have a Z Fold. But if we have any iPhone users, is there anybody in here that would actually want an iPhone, like a folding iPhone? Because I genuinely don't know. Because bear in mind, it's expected to cost like $2,300. Okay, so it's going to be pricey. It's going to be very pricey. Me, LOL. Yes. Jacob says no. I might force Jacob to get it. What if I bought Jacob one of the folding iPhones just to force him to use it? It's a work phone. Get over it. You're going to like it. Yeah. Yeah, all the lurkers showed up. Well, hey, man, I'm not joking when I say we've got how many do we have? Yeah, across both pages right now, Twitch and YouTube, we got like 2,600 people in here hanging with us. So it's a good time. Wave, if you lose your account or forget your password, you are effed on Apple's apps. It has the worst customer support. Yeah, dude, I went over to the Z Fold 7. I don't really foresee myself ever going back. Honestly, I love it. Yeah, this, just to be clear, this is the leaked render of what it's expected to look like. I don't think it's a leaked render. It's a render made off of leaks. So this is what it's expected to look like. It's going to be wider, kind of chunkier and shorter. It's going to go back to Touch ID, so it won't have Face ID in the front or inside. It'll use the Touch ID. And like I said, it's expected to be probably in the realm of like over 2,000, but currently the expectation is between like 2,100 and 2,400 probably, with the top storage model going up as much as like potentially 3,000. Yeah, this is it compared to their like Pro Maxes. So she gonna be a short queen, short king. Listen now. Something like that. She built wide, like a dump truck. Like a dump truck. Look at that. Spread it wide open. Here, there's no crease either. No crease neither. Look at that now. Stubby. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know if my hands would like that if they move to this like wider form factor. I don't know if they, I don't know. Uncle Baby Billy, nah? Yeah, exactly. No crease. Yeah, apparently it like stretches, and like because it stretches and goes taut, it doesn't have the crease the same way. But you know who's manufacturing the screens? Samsung. So almost certainly the screen that will be in this phone that gets rid of the crease will also be in the next Z Fold and Z Flip. So it probably is not going to be like that crazy of a feature. Like they'll all be like that, but call me asparagus. Sorry. Anytime anybody says asparagus in chat now, I just have to call me asparagus. Anyway. Yeah, so I don't personally in my head, I see this like kind of stubby iPhone, and even though it folds, I don't know if the average iPhone user is really going to care that much. The one thing iPhone users do love though, and this is borne out in the data and the sales data, when there's a big redesign where it's really visible that this is a new iPhone, sales spike in the US. Because it's like a social status symbol thing to be like, I can afford the new iPhone. I bought the new one. When the iPhones look the same, sales struggle because people like to flex that they have the new iPhone, right? And so I could see a situation in which a lot of people performatively buy this because it's so visible that you have the new iPhone, you know? But I just don't know if the average user is even going to care, you know? Do you remember the pyramid phone? Dude, the pyramid phone. The pyramid phone. Yes. We made our tablet in the shape of a pyramid because it is the one shape that contains all other shapes. It's amazing. I forgot about that, dude. It's so funny. It's like objectively the worst shape for a device ever. It's like, it's true. Think of a shape. I can make it fit in a triangle. It's true. It's true. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Okay. So anyway, big day in the tech space. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Tim Apple retiring. End of an era, man. End of an era. That's absolutely crazy. Oh shoot, dude. I just realized. Hold on. This I'm gonna be real. Ashton shared this with me on X. Was like, hey Luke, thought this would be a cool video to see you reacting to on stream. I found it really cool. And it was a video over analyzing 70 screenshots from the GTA 6 release stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I pulled it up and I was like, oh yeah, we could totally go through this. I didn't look until this moment. This goes through all of the 70 from as of 10 months ago, all 70 screenshots. I did not realize this is an hour and a half long video.
As soon as she could walk. Life has been coming at her swinging ever since. Fighting for her family landed her in the Leonida Penitentiary, just hanging out here at the beach. In the waters, we can see a ton of different vehicles from cargo ships to speedboats to jet skis. We can see a radio tower off in the distance, and I'm pretty sure it's the same one from the opening shot of trailer 1, so that means that the prison is likely in the same area. Also, the clouds look incredible. In the next screenshot, there's an iguana crossing the road, so looks like we're going to be seeing a lot of wildlife just casually roaming around in this part of the map.
Yeah, apparently they're using the same systems they built for Red Dead 2 for wildlife. They just ported them over. So I want to get through this. I did not realize it was an hour and a half long. With my cadence, this will end up being like a 2.5 hour video, which I'm down for. I just don't have time for it today. So I want to go through it. AI voice? No, I think that's just his voice. I think that's just his voice. Is it an AI voice? I thought that was just his voice. Did I get fooled?
And then in the center, we can see a woman riding a mobility scooter, and her basket's got a milkshake and then some other food in it with the Marbles brand on it, which is a new brand in the GTA universe.
Yeah, I think that's just his voice.
And also, I'm looking forward to riding one of these scooters around while waving a gun at people. Down in the bottom right corner,
Dude, honest moment. I didn't even consider riding the mobility scooter. But that's freaking awesome. I didn't even consider, like,
area.
can I ride the mobility scooter? But of course, that's the question I should be asking. That's the question I should be asking. Can I ride it? Can I steal the bus while there's people inside of it? Look, they're climbing up on top of the whale statue in the background and taking pictures. There surely is, like, they're taking a selfie. Is there a selfie system? The Wonder Wharf. Wonder Whale. Wonder Wharf is Bob's Burgers. This is one of those games where the more you look at it, the more it just blows your brain. It's like, what on earth, dude? So anyway, I want to go through this. I'm down. But I want to give it the time to go through it. So maybe we go through it like Wednesday and we just make a whole deal of it, working through it. Because there's a lot. I mean, 70 screenshots, you're like, how could you possibly have that much content in it? It's because everywhere you look, there is some new detail, there's some new little thing, and it has implications as well. When you see, like, just the screenshot, look how dense the NPCs are in this one shot. Like, there's people inside that are being rendered, partying over here. Like, somebody's driving that boat, they're partying. She's getting, I get, maybe out of the water into the boat, or she's getting from this boat into this boat. She's moving boats. How does that even work? This guy's chilling in the floaty. Like, everywhere you look, there's just more detail everywhere. Can I ride the floaty? Is that a system? Can you mount the floaty? I don't know, man. Boat transfer? Yeah. Can I be attacked by an alligator while I'm in a floaty? Maybe. Nate the Hate said GTA 6 is coming to Switch 2. Let's see. I remember hearing people like whispering about potentially a GTA 6 port on the Switch 2. I don't know if that's true. But I've heard multiple different sources talk about that potentially happening. Yeah. Let's see. This is from, I don't know who this is. Attack the Backlog. Peeps doubting Nash Weedles. GTA 6 Switch 2 claim. We have a quote from Nate the Hate saying, Rockstar, we're indeed doing tests of GTA 6 for Switch 2, although he doesn't know the current state. Here's that quote and a reminder of some of Nash's correct leaks this year. I said a while ago, this is from Nate the Hate, that Rockstar was doing tests to bring it to Switch 2, but tests don't always equal release. I know an effort has been made to see if they can bring it to the platform. I don't know don't know the current state of that effort. Dude, if they got it running on the Switch 2, that would be insane. 144.30? Definitely 30. I will say, the Switch 2 is wildly impressive. It's a very impressive little machine. It's way more powerful than I expected it to be. It's like very impressive. But it is I think CPU bound, very much so. So I think it's 30 for sure. Like, there's no performance mode is what I'm saying on that one. Yeah. How do I get access to this Discord? You have to connect your YouTube account if you have your YouTube membership thing. You have to connect your YouTube account to your Discord in the connections tab, and then it will connect you and send you over. So it's all automated. I love how GTA leakers are just another breed of Nintendo and Smash leakers. 100% cold reading. I will say they are passionate. And what's funny, dude, now the trend is John Apple. Because his name is John and taking over. John Apple is taking over. Farewell, Tim Apple. Welcome, John Apple. Really hopeful about Turnus as CEO. I will say, I hope he does a good job. sometimes when there's a big shift like this, kind of like when Bob Iger left Disney. He left Disney and then Bob Chapek took over for like a year and a half or 2 years. And then he was gone. Within like 2 years, they fired him and replaced him with Bob Iger again, brought him out of retirement. And now he just left again and was replaced by another guy. So I hope that he actually stands a chance. It's possible that this is a dumpster fire and he's gone within 2 years. We'll just have to see. But Bob Paycheck. Yeah, dude. What if we just took everything and made it worse, but charged more for it? Bob Chapek, you genius. You've done it. You've done it. Make him CEO again. Double him up. Brilliant. Chapek did greenlight Deadpool versus Wolverine, though, so that's one good thing. Yeah, I guess you gotta look on the bright side, I suppose. Did you guys see the alleged new leaked screenshots of the Black Flag remake? Are they the ones we looked at? Well, if you're saying they're new, I have not seen new alleged leaked screenshots. But we did look at some. You remember like 6 months ago, there were the alleged leaks that were suspected to be AI generated. I'm interested to see if those were AI generated. I think they were because the hands were all messed up, but we'll see. Let's see. Tom Henderson is retweeting his previous posts. Added to the article, but despite the rumors of the game being made into an RPG, it was made clear that this is a solo adventure and character-driven experience. So he's retweeting that because I guess people are running with it again. That's funny. Sorry, that's a good meme. That's a good meme. The time is coming, my friends. The time is coming. Patience. 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 The time is coming, and when the time has come, it will have come, and then you will be able to talk and know what you don't know now. I like describing things in these really vague, wordy ways, because then people try to decipher it to see if I like spilled the beans on any secret information, when in reality, I just said basically nothing. There will come a time when things will be revealed and when info will be available to you. And when that time comes, we'll be able to talk about that info that we didn't have before, because we'll have that info that we didn't have. And once we have that info and we can talk about it, we can get into the substance of what that content was, which we don't have right now, but we will when we can talk about it, because we will have had the content by that point. So you're saying it's an RPG? So you're saying there's multiplayer? Luke, do you think Black Flag Remake there will be underwater exploration similar to AC Odyssey? I would say my understanding is that the goal of the Black Flag Remake is to just remake the game. So the original Black Flag game had those underwater sections with the diving bell. I don't know if you remember those, but it had diving bell. It's one of those areas. Black Flag. It's one of those parts of the game that like is kind of easy to forget. Yeah, this. Remember this? Dude, my head would explode if I went that deep that quickly. Can you imagine? Into the diving bell. So, my assumption is if it's a remake, it's just going to remake the stuff that was there. Now, if they're cutting stuff, that's a separate question. That's a separate question. Valid question. That I hope people asked. If media saw this, I hope they ask questions. I'm just asking questions. So, we'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Valheim still hasn't dropped an update. Really? I didn't know that. I've seen the underwater exploration has been massively expanded on the Gaming Leaks subreddit. Oh, is the subreddit saying things? Uh-oh. Watch out. Well, fam. I have to work on something. Who knows what? Who knows what? Something? I don't know. Maybe I'm making broccoli. Maybe I'm working on a video that you're definitely going to want to watch. I don't know. Time will tell. But I'm going to go work on that, okay, my friends? I love you desperately. Let me make sure I read everything just so everybody got credit for what they sent over. Refresh, stream locking up, sadness initiated. Total Malarkey, thank you for the 10. Very generous. Thank you. Did you ever end up hearing anything about the Kingmakers medieval game? Was really intrigued by the trailer like 2 years ago now. They are working on it. It's just... when they shared that first little sliver, I don't think they expected it to blow up the way that it did. So they've been working on it, but it's just grown into something way bigger than they expected it to be. Apple is a cult of sorts, says Batman Cod. In a way, like it's all about the ecosystem. And if you're fully in the ecosystem, it's great. If you're trying to mix and match in the ecosystem, it doesn't really work. Like if you're one of those people that has a Mac for your workstation, a laptop, a MacBook at home, you have the iPhone, the AirPods, the Apple Watch. If you have the full ecosystem, it's great. If you're trying to mix and match, it's not great. Tony, thank you for the 2. We love you, Luke, and I love you too. Thank you for making my dreams a reality literally every single day. It's crazy. Godsmack, thank you for the $1 as well. Let's see. Wallet the Great, thank you for that super chat. The issue with a folding phone is that it would cannibalize the iPad mini. Apple hates that, so they handicap it very heavily. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to do like iPad OS functions on the foldable, or if it's literally just going to be the iPhone OS, like iOS on the foldable. Then what's the point of the foldable if you can't like be more productive? I don't know. That's going to be the most interesting thing about it, is what they do with software to make it usable. I genuinely, I don't know what they're going to do. Samuel, thank you for the 22 months. Oh, baby. Almost 2 years. That's insane. Rich Sounds, thank you for the 5. Thoughts on the game, The Expanse and development. Do you think it's going to be good? I think it's going to be good. Anything that Owlcat has touched, they know how to make a good RPG, tell you what. So I'm very excited for that one. I think they're going to do great. Spoofamon, thank you for the 5. Reminds me of how certain Remedy devs push back on the musical segment in Alan Wake 2, though that's a case of that working out. Yeah, well, but that's what's healthy for a studio environment, is to be able to give feedback, to like push, poke, and prod, and see what makes sense and what doesn't. That's the key, is you got to be able to have those conversations. Leo Bloom, thank you for the 5. Love you, Luke, but you're totally wrong about George Lucas. Neil, however, is no George Lucas. Here's money anyway. Thank you, my friend. Did I mix up George Lucas with somebody else? Because maybe I did in the story, but I'm not sure. As for the George Lucas comparison, the point is it's not saying that Neil and his creations are on the level of George Lucas, at least not yet. It's more to say that when you have an individual creative powerhouse that nobody wants to say no to, you start to just get surrounded by yes men. Calvin, thank you for the membership. Re-up as well. CKF, thank you for the membership. A Juggernaut Glitch again, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. That's amazing. Silverstein, thank you for the 29 months. Re-up. After Crimson Desert, where do all the expectations for Pearl Abyss lie for the next game? Also, what game would you like to see from them next? I'm kind of curious what their version of like a cyberpunk sci-fi game would look like. Imagine like a Pearl Abyss open world, but with like a cyberpunk flair. I think that could be amazing. Very, very interested, but they could do any number of things. If they also wanted to go like 1940s noir, do like LA noir vibes, but with an open world game, I'd be interested in that. I'd be all in for that. But yeah, as for their direct next game, Doki V, I have no idea. That game is crazy to me. I can't figure it out with my brain. I don't know. Black Flag leaks. It just leaked. I don't. I don't see anything popping, so I'm not sure where it is. If you have it real quick, if you could tag me on X, we could pull it up. Let's see. Guts of Rivia, thank you for the 50 50, I think it's AED, like forget the name of the currency, but thank you for that. Do you think the Halo Combat Evolved remake has a chance of being good? My brain tells me no, but my heart wants to say yes, that it can be an RE4 level remake. I think it'll be like a strong functional remake. I don't expect it to be like, it shouldn't be that hard to do, but because it's just the campaign, they're not doing any multiplayer stuff. It's like, it's going to still be only a sliver of what the total package could have been, but I expect it to be pretty solid. I think it's kind of hard to screw that up, but I guess never say never. They find ways to surprise you sometimes. On Twitter. Okay, let me see. Two Tech said here. Sorry, I meant to mute. Let me see. Okay. If these are real. Okay. Yeah, if these are real. It doesn't look AI. They have fingers. Usually AI won't do fingers. That's okay. Yeah, there's fingers here too. That's my number one go-to for AI images. I'm like, look at the fingers. Like, I swear I don't have a problem. Where are the toes? I need to see the feet. I swear I'm checking for AI stuff. I just need to see the feet real quick. Is that Kojima's excuse? I mean, if this is legit, ooh baby, nah, they look AI to me. I'm worried I'm becoming a boomer because I'm getting to the point where I'll look at something, I'm like, looks pretty real to me, and somebody's like, no, it's clearly AI. I'm like, yeah, I agree. I was gonna say that. my AI detection meter is not as good as I'd like to think it is. I did not think, Katie says, I did not think hand fetishes were ever a thing. Dude, real talk. If you have a hand fetish, that's got to be tough, man. Or maybe it's wonderful because you just see hands all the time. But it's also got to be hard. See, do you see what I did there? Nope. Okay. I just joined. ... Sorry. Glad to have you. Vietnamese, thank you for the super chat. Hey Luke, did Windrose impress you? For me, is what a pirate game should be. Ubisoft should take notes. Thanks for being such a Giga Chad. Praise the Todd. Praise to the Todd. Indeed. Yeah, I've been playing Windrose actually through GeForce Now, and I think they've done a really good job. The shanties also in that game are, they're so good. It's a survival game, so if you're somebody that really likes survival games, it really clicks. It's like survival games and survival mechanics, I burn out on them really quickly. I know some people, they like tickles a part of their brain where they can just go, and there's always something to entertain yourself with and busy yourself with. But for me, it usually burns me out. So I haven't burnt out on it yet. I am playing solo, which I've been told is not ideal. So I need to play, in a server with people to fully make my mind up. But as of right now, I'm having a great time. I think it's a good time. So yeah, I need to put more time into it, but so far I've been having a good time. And again, the shanties. Ooh. I said it's 75% damage and it's a much better experience. Okay. I've heard many people say that the combat in solo is not ideal, that it's not very well balanced for solo combat. Which makes sense. I mean, I think it's pretty clearly designed for something bigger. But anyway. Let's see. Watch the trailer. If not, SOD has some insane gameplay showcase too. Oh, for are you talking about for Windrose? Yeah, they show some late game stuff. If that's what you're referring to. I'm enjoying Pirate Enshrouded a lot. Yeah, I've heard people describe it that way. It's basically Pirate Enshrouded, and if you like survival games, it's a really solid one from what I've seen so far. But if you're thinking that it's going to be like big Black Flag, like it's a very different game. Doki V above I mentioned. Oh, Doki V. Yeah, Doki V. That's one where I'm just, again, I don't know like what you're doing from hour to hour. Like they showed a ton of stuff, but I'm still just not sure exactly what the game looks like. But that was also true of Crimson Desert, where a lot of us were like, what is the game here? And then it clicked and we figured it out, and then it's awesome. But it's just figuring out what that is, you know. But anyway, I'm going to work on this. Like I said, I appreciate you guys so much for being here, for being so generous and spending your time with me. It's always humbling. I appreciate you guys. We'll be back on Wednesday, rocking and rolling. And then Thursday, we will have the Black Flag reveal and everything. So there should be lots to talk about, no doubt. Lots to talk about. And we'll get there. But until then, my friends, much, much love. I'll see you in the next one. Next stream, whatever. I'm used to doing my main video outro. Much love. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.